I know what you're thinking. Uncanny, isn't it? Yeah, the resemblance. Although actually when I painted this, I think I might have overdone the black paint on the biceps, but there you go. Have you ever said or heard someone say, oh yeah, I've got a really good relationship with that client? You see, now my question is, because you hear this all the time, yeah, I've got a key account, yeah, I've got a really good relationship with them. But my question is, well, how are you measuring that exactly? What does a good relationship actually mean? So here's a bunch of questions. Is it by the number of jobs that they give you that's helping you to determine whether or not that's a really good relationship? Is it the number of deals you do with them each year? Is it the number of contacts you have within the company? They always call you for a chat. They invite you on corporate days. How much they spend with you because they give you exclusivity, because they retain you, because they give you both their perm and their contract roles. Now, it's a pretty big list to measure the success and the level of the relationship that you have. But how do you, yes, everyone watching this, how do you measure your relationships? Could you actually answer all of those questions? See, I was talking to a recruiter many years ago and his boss asked me to come in and do some coaching with him because this consultant, he was, how can I say, he was doing okay, but he'd plateaued. So I got talking to him and I was asking a few questions, and he mentioned that he had a key account. And I said to him, how do you know? And he said, how do I know what? So then I went back and I said, yeah, but how do you know that this account is a really good relationship for you? And he said, well, I've got 5 runners out. So he's got 5 contractors out. I said, okay. Now, at this point, I need to let you into a little secret. I had actually spoken to his boss about this individual. We both done some research. So I did have some help when it came to my line of questioning. So this is how I followed it up. So look, well done. You've got 5 contractors out on that particular site in Cardiff. Is that right? He went, yeah. Okay. How many contractors have they got on site? And he said, what, apart from my 5? I'm not sure. I said, they've got 25. They've got 25 contractors and you have 5. And at that point he said, well, that's pretty good then, isn't it? He said, yeah, I've got 20% of the pie. I've got 20% of their business. And I'm thinking, actually, what that says to me is there's plenty more potential. There's another 80% of the workforce that you could actually be filling. You could go from 5 up to 10, up to 15. Relatively easy. You've already got a client that's already bought from you. And then I came in with another blow. I said, oh, by the way, you're talking about the site down in Cardiff. How many sites do they have across the UK? And they said, well, I'm not sure. I only work with the guy in Cardiff. I went, okay. They've got 5 sites. So in total, at any one point in time, they could have up to 110 contractor requirements. So that's 110 contractor requirements with a client that you're working with, that you label as a key account, and you have 5 contractors out. That's 5.5% of the total number of contractors. And what that did, apart from deflating just a little bit, was actually made him think that, what is my measure of a key account? Sometimes we've got to look a little bit bigger, go beyond our noses. The point is, this consultant had not developed the relationship. They hadn't developed the account in any way. They got comfortable, they got lazy, they got, another C word, complacent. Now, the other thing that worried me was he said that, yeah, I'm dealing with the guy in Cardiff. The guy in Cardiff, he had 1 point of contact. He'd given this client key account status and had 1 point of contact. Now, you know as well as I do that you need to have more than 1 point of contact, because if that person leaves, who have you got behind to sing your praises, to be an advocate for you within the business? A new person might come in, no one's going to say great things about you, so they'll go and work with another supplier. Let me show you an example that helps to demonstrate, sometimes when people say, yeah, I've got a really good relationship with this particular person, or I've got really good relationships with all my top clients. It's something called the 3-column exercise. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. So you can either do this exercise now or later on, but in the first column, write down the first names, because the chances are you're on first name terms with your top 5 client contacts, your top 5 client contacts. And in the second column, write down the company that they used to work at before they were at this company. And then in the third column, write down how much business you're actually doing with that contact, your contact's first named contact, previous company. How much business are you doing with them? Now, admittedly, it's probably too quick for you to do it right now, so certainly do it after the session. Because let me share with you what often happens, right? When I do this in a classroom, the first column gets filled up pretty quickly. So yeah, I know, yeah, Bob and Sandy and Mary, yeah, brilliant. Put all those in. Second column, this is where I get a lot of ceiling gazers. They go, whoa, where did they used to work? Oh, I'm not sure. So we might end up with 5 in the first column, maybe 2 or 3 in the second column, and then the third column. 9 times out of 10, it's blank. Now, when I'm doing this particular exercise, I'll then throw in a little bit of a curveball, and I'll just say, actually, have you ever tried to get hold of a client contact, someone that you've been working with for quite some time, and you go to call them up, and they're not there because they've left? And the amount of people go, oh yeah, that's happened to me. So my follow-up question is, did you place them? No. Vast majority of times they didn't place them. So what does that tell you about the relationship you have with the people that you're on first name terms with, these decision makers? It tells me that perhaps they trust you to maybe supply staff to them, but they don't trust you with their next career move. Perhaps you've never even considered to have that type of conversation with them. You've only had a very much sort of blinkered conversation. Have you got any jobs? Yes, I've got some jobs. Okay, I'll go away and fill them. And that's it. But have you ever asked them, for example, so how long have you been there now? What's your next step within the organisation? What have they got planned for you? You see, placing a decision maker is probably one of the best placements that you'll ever make, because you're placing a decision maker in a new company that is a new company, they're a decision maker, and they're also going to be an advocate for you. Why? Because they've been on the receiving end of your service from a client perspective, but also now from a candidate perspective. So they have seen the full 360. And ideally, they're going to say a few good words with the company that they're leaving behind to say, work with this particular person, so they can recommend you to their successor. Now look, don't get me wrong, there's going to be some of you that will say, but Alan, that third column, it's blank for a reason. I've got loads of reasons why I wouldn't do business for them, because maybe it was a lower level position, maybe it's slightly outside of my geography, maybe it was just a one-off that I was working on, or maybe that company is a terrible payer and we tried to work with them before and there's no terms there. That's fine. There's always going to be reasons, but can you honestly, hand on heart, say that you are exploiting those relationships for your benefit? You see, if I've got a good relationship with a decision maker at one of my companies that I'm working with, I might say, actually, Andrew, I can't help but notice that you used to work at Greystoke Technology. Oh yeah, that's right. Do you know what? This is a company that I've had on my radar for quite some time. Who's the best person to speak to there about their recruitment? Now, they shouldn't have any issue or problems with providing you with names. It's unlikely there's going to be any sort of non-compete clause or anything like that. They don't work there anymore, so it's fine. And the chances are they'll give you a name and say, look, thanks so much for that, Andrew. You don't happen to have the mobile number, do you? And you can even ask, so how would you suggest I approach them? Because maybe they're giving you a HR contact, maybe they're giving you a line decision maker contact, and they might give you a bit of an inside scoop and say, well, look, to be honest with you, they're a bit like a bear with a sore head first thing in the morning, so I'd probably leave it till the afternoon. And ask them, how do they typically recruit? You see, you can now go out and do your business development calls armed to the gills with inside information, that inside scoop, information that is not readily available from looking at their LinkedIn profile or looking at their website. So it puts you ahead of the pack. So look, don't take these relationships for granted. Get them to think about you, yes, as a supplier, but also someone that you can help further their career. But you have to keep in touch, even when they're not hiring and they're going through some tough times. And 2020 and into 21 has been a tough time for many companies. You've got to keep in touch with them. Just keep that line of communication open. Now, these business relationships have many similarities to how personal relationships start and develop and grow, and how they last the course. Yes, there is that initial thrill of the chase, that first contact, the courting, that getting to know you stage before that individual starts to really accept you. And then the more they accept you, they start to trust you, they start to open up more, and eventually they will commit to you. And then from that commitment stage, it's really about hard work. It's about working hard at that relationship to get them to that level where they are loyal, but also great advocates of yours. So when you say, I've got a great relationship with, just ask yourself this question. Will they be saying the same about you? Now, I don't know who I have relationships with on the other side of this video. Some of you I might have, some of you I might not have. So I'd like to think that you know me a little bit better after this week, and if you've watched any of the previous. But feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn, connect with me, give us a call. Let's talk about some training if you like, whether that be online, classroom, coaching. So look, go out there, build some fantastic relationships. And I look forward to strengthening my relationship with you. And you know how it finishes. It finishes with stay fit, physically fit, mentally fit, and of course, recruiter fit.